Hello, and thank you for taking the time to learn about the fight against the Eddie Jones warehouse approval. For a little background, the Eddie Jones warehouse was approved by the Planning Commission on February 10, 2025, in a questionable process by which the commissioners themselves negotiated the number of truck bays planned for the project, all while assuring that there could always be more truck docks if a future tenant wanted them.
And anybody that's going to come in there to lease, if they want to increase their capacity, knows that they have the ability to take out one. It's a tilt-up building. They can take those sections out and put a dock door in.
So what was the point of this compromise? Why reduce the number of truck bays if the developer can always come back and ask for more? In the end, the Planning Commission certified the original environmental impact report, which analyzed the impact of a 567,000 square foot building with 114 truck bays. In this, the Planning Commission essentially handed the developer the opportunity to build anything up to these original specifications if a future tenant requests it. As explained by then city planner Sergio Madera, all the developer would have to do is modify the development plan and request a revision to the conditional use permit, which would be approved by the Planning Commission.
To be clear, if the applicant has a tenant later on who needs an additional 10 on one of the buildings, they have to come back to this body for an adjustment to the CUP each and every time, or can they bundle them? Explain how that process would work after tonight.
To answer your question, Commissioner Rosales, we have conditions, a couple conditions that would have to be modified to accommodate this change if the applicant's willing to accept it. And so it would be a revision not only to the conditional use permit, but also be a revision to the development plan, because the conditions lock in the design basically as you see them today, as they've been presented to the commission. And part of that locking in is that we have 56 truck bays, and the condition reads, no additional truck bays shall be permitted unless a revision to the development plan and conditional use permit is approved by the Planning Commission. So, but by locking in a lower number of truck bays, would require them to come back for the same process to increase that number beyond what gets approved, if anything gets approved tonight.
Okay.
So to reiterate, they reduced the number of truck bays, but with the caveat that they can always come back and be added in the future. Council members Rick Robinson and Jimmy Figueroa, however, appear to be unaware of this in their comments when they voted against the community appeal and thus fully approved the project and certifying the original environmental impact report.
The developer came forward with an original project, which in all honesty was not worthy of the community support. Through listening processes and talks with the community, a revised project was submitted that frankly received much better remarks and showed a willingness to try to conform to the community input.
Does he honestly not realize that in rejecting the community appeal, that he certified the environmental impact report for this original project that he admits is not worthy? Sounds like he should have probably clarified things with the planning staff prior to his vote. Figueroa expresses the same ignorance in his comments as well.
You know, one of the main concerns that I heard from the community about Eddie Jones initially was the truck bays, the amount of truck bays. And I believe initially we started at, or the developer, you started at 114. I believe that was what was being proposed to the city. And
that's correct.
Then you suggested 56 was the second, right?
Yes, yeah, after feedback from the community.
Okay. And then on May 21st, what was before us was 34 truck bays, correct?
Correct. At Planning Commission, they reduced the truck bays down to 34.
And then today, are you, and I'm asking because I wasn't sure, I think I might have missed it. Did you suggest that you would willing to reduce the truck bays again?
That's correct. We want to make sure we don't limit ourselves from attracting high quality tenants. So we need a certain amount just because it's a large project on a large piece of land, but we are willing to reduce the truck bays down to 28.
Again, here we see both Jimmy Figueroa and the developer pretending that they are really locked into 34 and then 28 truck bays. As a reminder, here's what the Planning Commission said to him in the February 10th meeting when they assured him he could always come back and ask for more if he needed them.
I like the idea of having a number stated on the conditional use permit, but then they have the ability to come back once they get a tenant and be able to talk a little bit more about this company needs to have 10 or whatever it is, 16 or whatever it's going to end up being, because that's your tenant.
Yeah, and that was always on the table, that,
Yeah.
you know, that they could come back and get the full 100 and whatever it was, 114. So that was always in play. So if we squeeze it down to, I don't know, 8 per building, as you get a tenant that, has a desire for more spaces, it sounds like that's achievable according to how Jay described it.
As Bama and Rosales explained themselves, this was no compromise. It was a bait and switch so they could claim that they listened to the community, when in fact they told the developer he can always have up to 114 if a future tenant needs them. To that, I'll let Councilmember Eric Joyce explain why this just doesn't make sense.
We absolutely need to invest in more jobs and prioritizing those local jobs here in our community. Cannot say that enough. However, this is a major intensification from the previous industrial usage, 172,000 square feet to now 497,000 square feet. The sound, the soil, the safety, the clean water, air quality, and as Father Charles said, peace itself is at stake. I believe it's clear that the number of approved truck doors will not limit the eventual truck bays, that even if we were to say 36, it is a number that could shift without our approval. Per the report, it could be brought back by ministerial approval.
The project should have been rejected back at the Planning Commission. It isn't the commissioner's job to design the project for approval. They are simply tasked with approving or rejecting what has come before them. Heavy truck capacity at the site of the Eddie Jones warehouse is at the heart of our challenge. There are multiple CEQA violations on greenhouse gas emissions and air pollution per the data in the environmental impact report. The model behind me was produced by senior air quality engineer Ray Kapahi, who traveled to Oceanside from Sacramento at his own expense to warn the city council of these risks. This is the air that people breathe, he said. But still, Peter Weiss, Rick Robinson, and Jimmy Figueroa ignorantly trusted a fake compromise brokered by the Planning Commission that had no real restrictions or regulation. Please stand with Oceanside Speaks Out and help us fight the approval and disregard for the community. Scan the QR code or check the link in the profile for more information. Thank you.